They told you happiness is somewhere ahead, in a distant moment, after you've achieved something, after you've changed yourself, after the world becomes more acceptable. So you waited and worked and struggled. But somehow, it never arrived. Every time you reached the summit, another appeared on the horizon. Every time you touched a fleeting joy, it slipped like sand through open hands. This is the nature of the mind, to postpone, to project, to hope. It believes happiness is a reward at the end of effort, at the completion of becoming. But what if this is the very illusion that keeps joy away? What if the chase itself is the root of suffering? Because happiness is not a destination. It's not hidden in the future. It's not a product of success or self-improvement. It's in the seeing, not in what is seen, but in the quality of perception itself, a perception that is still, clear, free from the noise of desire and resistance. Jiddu Krishnamurti said, "Happiness is not in the future, it's in the seeing." And in these few words, he shattered the entire structure of psychological time. Time not as the clock, but as the thought, "One day I will be free." That thought is the barrier. So the question is, can you see now, without seeking, without running? Observe the movement of the mind. It says, if I just had this, if I could only change that, then I'd be at peace. But every time it gets what it wanted, another craving arises, a new condition, a new image of happiness. This is not evolution. This is entrapment. The mind turns joy into a goal, and the moment it becomes a goal, it becomes something separate from what is. This is the trap of becoming, a constant effort to be something other than what you are, a subtle rejection of the present moment. But joy, true joy, is never found in becoming. It is revealed in being, and being requires nothing, no fixing, no control, no comparison. It simply requires that you stop, that you look, and that you see what is fully, without resistance, not later, not tomorrow. Now can you look at your life without judgment, without trying to escape? Can you see your sadness, your joy, your confusion, not as problems to be solved, but as experiences to be understood? That space, that clarity of observation, is where happiness lives. It is not something to add to your life. It is what remains when all seeking ends. And so the question is not, how do I become happy? But rather, can I observe the very structure of this seeking? Can I be still enough to notice how my mind postpones everything that is sacred? In that noticing, happiness is no longer a future event. It is the quiet presence that has always been here, waiting only to be seen. There is a subtle shift that happens when observation becomes pure, when there is no observer, only the act of seeing itself. That moment is sacred, because in it the psychological me, the one who wants, who fears, who calculates, dissolves. What remains is silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence that contains everything. A living silence. That's where joy begins to bloom, not as a reaction, not as excitement or stimulation, but as peace. A peace that doesn't depend on outcomes. This is why Krishnamurti said, "Happiness is not in the future, it's in the seeing," because the future belongs to thought, and thought is always conditioned by memory, by fear, by desire. But seeing is always fresh. It's not built on the past. It doesn't project into tomorrow. It is now. And now is untouched by sorrow, not because sorrow doesn't exist, but because now you are no longer escaping it. You are no longer at war with it. And from that stillness, from that intimacy with the truth, a strange freedom arises. You are not trying to be happy. You are not chasing meaning. You are not improving yourself. You are simply here, fully, quietly, clearly, with what is. And that presence is joy itself. So much of life is spent becoming, trying to become someone, trying to become free, trying to become happy, but becoming is time, and time is suffering, when it is psychological, when it is the promise of something better someday. What if there is no better? What if the very structure of seeking is what keeps you from finding? Krishnamurti did not offer a path, because truth is not a path. It is not a destination. It is not a place you arrive. It is what remains when all the effort to become falls away. And this is not despair. It is liberation. The mind may protest, but if I don't seek, won't I be stuck? But it's in the ceasing of seeking that you realize you were never stuck. You were just identified with movement. So, can you look now without ambition? Can you listen now without resistance? Can you feel this very moment without naming it, without judging it, without comparing it? Because that space, that opening, is happiness. Not the kind you pursue, but the kind that arises when the chase is dropped. So don't postpone joy. Don't make peace into a goal. Don't imagine freedom as a future state. Look now, feel now, be now. And in that sacred stillness you may discover you were always free.